In the second week of February, Clearwater, Florida, bathes in serene warmth, a welcome escape from the harsher winters gripping much of the country. Nestled along the Gulf Coast, the city radiates calm and vibrancy, its subtropical climate painting a dreamlike backdrop. Mild temperatures, clear skies, and the rhythmic presence of the sea create an idyllic setting. As the sun rises, Clearwater awakens slowly under a sky brushed with soft gradients of pink and orange. The air feels crisp and refreshing, hovering in the mid-60s. The Gulf of Mexico reflects the pastel hues of dawn, its waters tranquil. A gentle breeze carries the salty tang of the ocean, mingling with faint floral notes from hibiscus and jasmine blooms in the gardens. On Clearwater Beach, the sand feels cool beneath bare feet, and joggers and dogwalkers move in silhouette against the golden light. The city stirs into life with an unhurried rhythm. Fishing boats dot the horizon, their movements creating delicate ripples on the otherwise calm sea. Along coastal roads, palm trees sway gently, their shadows lengthening with the rising sun. Locals sip coffee on porches, while cafes fill with patrons seeking a quiet breakfast. The air feels perfect. Light sweater weather in the morning, promising sun-drenched warmth by midday. By noon, Clearwater buzzes with energy under a brilliant sun. Temperatures climb to the mid-70s with the possibility of touching the low 80s. The steady Gulf breeze tempers the heat, carrying the scent of salt water and the hum of activity. Skies remain a flawless blue, interrupted only by the occasional wispy cloud. The iconic white sands of Clearwater Beach gleam in the sunlight, a magnet for families, couples, and solo beachgoers. The shoreline teems with life. Colorful umbrellas dot the sands, laughter mingling with the rhythmic crash of gentle waves. The turquoise waters sparkle invitingly, reflecting the sun's brilliance. Kayakers and paddleboarders explore the coastline while seabirds glide effortlessly above, their cries a soothing counterpoint. Inland, farmers' markets and boutique shops brim with locals and tourists perusing fresh citrus, handmade crafts, and unique souvenirs. The warmth of the day invites leisure and exploration. Couples stroll along Pier 60, their hair tousled by the salty breeze, while families picnic in parks like Sand Key. The gentle weather feels like an embrace, encouraging outdoor activities and soaking in the vibrant Gulf Coast atmosphere. As evening approaches, Clearwater's beauty intensifies. The setting sun ignites the horizon with fiery hues of orange, pink, and purple, casting its glow across the shimmering water. Temperatures dip back into the low 70s, offering a refreshing coolness. The air turns crisp but comforting, the breeze soft and full of whispers from the ocean. The city transitions into a more subdued rhythm. Boardwalks and streets grow quieter, their energy shifting to an intimate, tranquil tone. Lights from beachside restaurants and shops twinkle warmly, beckoning diners to linger over fresh seafood while the sound of waves provides a soothing soundtrack. Along the shoreline, the last visitors walk barefoot in the sand, their steps illuminated by the rising moon. Rain is rare during February, and when it does fall, it's a brief, refreshing interlude that leaves the air feeling even cleaner. Humidity remains moderate, enhancing the sense of peace that Clearwater offers. It feels like a paradise in transition, where winter gently bows to the first whispers of spring. For residents and visitors alike, every moment spent here feels like a gift. Clearwater combines coastal charm with suburban vibrancy, offering pristine natural beauty alongside modern conveniences. Known for its breathtaking Gulf Coast beaches and laid-back lifestyle, the city has become a haven for those seeking relaxation, warm weather, and community connection. It balances its identity as a bustling tourist destination with the tight-knit, welcoming atmosphere cherished by its residents. The people of Clearwater reflect the city's diversity, blending retirees, families, young professionals, and a steady stream of tourists. Its population includes longtime residents, seasonal snowbirds, and those drawn to the city's sunny skies and easygoing vibe. Many locals work in tourism, hospitality, or the marine economy, contributing to the city's vibrant culture. Clearwater thrives on community spirit. Block parties, farmers markets, and local festivals keep the city alive year-round. Residents gather at public beaches and parks to enjoy the simple pleasures of coastal living. The Clearwater Marine Aquarium, home to rescued marine animals like dolphins and sea turtles, serves as a point of pride and a testament to the city's commitment to conservation. One of Clearwater's most notable former citizens, Michael Bredka, now resides at Wakulla Correctional Institution Annex in Crawfordville, Florida. Located 20 miles south of Tallahassee, this highly secure facility emphasizes both incarceration and rehabilitation. Surrounded by dense woods and open fields, the prison exudes a remote, isolated atmosphere. The annex's grounds, encircled by razor-wire top fences and monitored from guard towers, underscore its stringent security measures. Inside, the facility is a stark, utilitarian labyrinth of cell blocks, corridors, and common areas. Cells are small and bare, equipped only with essentials like bunk beds and stainless steel fixtures. Shared spaces, including the cafeteria and recreation yards, are functional but austere, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Wakulla Annex maintains a rigid schedule, with inmates participating in work assignments, educational programs, and limited recreational activities. Vocational training and counseling programs reflect the facility's emphasis on rehabilitation. Every movement is monitored through advanced security systems, ensuring strict oversight. Life at the annex is stark, defined by routine and discipline. For Michael Bredka and others incarcerated there, it represents both punishment and a chance for reform, a reality far removed from the vibrant, sunlit life of Clearwater, Florida. The atmosphere at the Wakulla Correctional Institution Annex pulses with strict control and order. Inmates remain acutely aware of the rules and the consequences of breaking them, while staff members maintain a tightly regulated system to ensure smooth operations. Although tensions inevitably surface within the confines of prison life, the annex's emphasis on rehabilitation and structured activities helps reduce the likelihood of unrest. Michael Bredka's existence in the annex is a stark contrast to the suburban life he once knew. As a middle-aged man with no prior exposure to such an environment, he finds himself isolated, surrounded by individuals whose life experiences are worlds apart from his own. His notoriety from a highly publicized trial puts him under constant scrutiny from both inmates and corrections officers, making him a unique figure within the institution. Bredka's severe peanut allergy further complicates his life behind bars. The prison kitchen staff meticulously manages his meals, flagging them to prevent cross-contamination. Guards receive specific instructions to ensure his safety, yet the unpredictable and chaotic nature of the prison environment leaves him vulnerable to human error. Today, Bredka's lunch appears ordinary: a sandwich, a side of coleslaw, and a small packet of cookies. Unbeknownst to him, a series of errors in the kitchen seals his fate. The bread for his sandwich is mistakenly spread with peanut butter. The coleslaw dressing contains traces of peanut oil due to a mislabeled shipment, and the cookies are studded with whole peanuts. He begins eating, unaware of the danger. The first symptoms creep in quietly. An itch forms in his throat, subtle at first, easily dismissed. Within moments, his condition escalates. The allergens trigger a violent response, and Bredka's immune system floods his body with histamines. His throat swells, his esophagus burns, and his airways begin to constrict. Each breath grows harder as panic sets in. Hives spread across his face, neck, and arms, angry red welts blooming against his skin. His heart races, his chest tightens, and his blood pressure plummets. Dizzy and nauseous, he doubles over, retching uncontrollably. His face flushes, then turns ghostly pale. His fingers and lips take on a blue hue as oxygen deprivation grips his body. The reaction spirals into anaphylactic shock. Bredka's heart falters, its rhythm erratic, and his organs begin to shut down. His vision blurs, his thoughts fragment as hypoxia takes hold. Collapsing to the mess hall floor, he convulses briefly before losing consciousness entirely. Guards notice his distress and call for medical help, but by the time they reach him, it is too late. The rapid onset and severity of the reaction overwhelm his body. Respiratory arrest, cardiac failure, and multi-organ collapse cascade into fatality. Bredka's lifeless body is transported to the infirmary, where an investigation begins immediately. Medical personnel confirm his death as a result of anaphylaxis. A post-mortem examination of his meal reveals the presence of peanut substances all throughout his meal, leading to the conclusion that a mix-up in the kitchen caused the tragedy. It wasn't an abnormal lunch for every other inmate because they had the same meal. His was supposed to be different. It wasn't. Officials classify the incident as a tragic oversight, a reflection of the inherent flaws in managing such a complex system. In the prison yard, word of Bredka's death spreads like wildfire. For many inmates, it is just another death in a place where mortality is a constant companion. Others, however, whisper questions. Was it really an accident, or was there something more deliberate at play? To some, Bredka's demise feels like karmic justice. To others, it highlights the systemic imperfections that pervade even the most controlled environments. His death becomes another grim chapter in a life already steeped in controversy, leaving behind more questions than answers about accountability and humanity within the prison system. Martin Stockton's case resolved. Martin Stockton's case resolved. Martin Stockton's case resolved. In mid-February, Anniston, Alabama, rests in the liminal space between winter's reluctance to leave and spring's tentative arrival. The air carries a crisp chill, softened by the sun's golden glow, hinting at warmer days ahead. The streets lie quiet, lined with bare-branched trees and brick buildings that whisper the town's long history. A light breeze stirs the last remnants of autumn leaves, scattering them across the ground, while the distant bark of a dog punctuates the stillness. Beyond the town's rural outskirts, Fort McClellan remains shrouded in secrecy. Officially decommissioned and appearing to outsiders as an expansive bamboo and hemp farm, the fort hides an intricate reality. Dirt paths, flanked by towering bamboo stalks and rows of swaying hemp, lead to what seems like an ordinary agricultural operation. Beneath this facade, however, lies an extensive underground network, Celeste Weaver's covert stronghold. Inside, Fort McClellan buzzes with purpose. Hidden behind weathered barns and unassuming structures, steel doors open to reveal concrete reinforced chambers alive with technological activity. Computers hum and monitors glow, processing endless streams of data. Satellite dishes camouflaged by the terrain ensure constant, secure communication. The air hums with the quiet urgency of voices, keystrokes, and the occasional barked command. The personnel are a mix of tactical operatives and civilians, each moving with precision. Many wear tactical gear marked by insignias hinting at past military or intelligence affiliations, while others blend seamlessly into civilian roles. Engineers adjust equipment, analysts pore over files, and strategists coordinate movements, all contributing to the operation's efficiency. Dwayne stands in the midst of it all, absorbing the scene. The air is faintly metallic, a blend of machine oil and conditioned air circulating through unseen vents. He follows Marcus Green, a tall, confident young man with an easy stride and a sharp mind. A local of Alabama, Marcus navigates the labyrinthine facility with ease. This, Marcus says, gesturing to a bank of monitors displaying live feeds from major cities, is Command Central. We handle surveillance, field coordination, and intercept communications here. It's cutting edge, Celeste made sure of that. Dwayne nods, impressed despite his guarded demeanor. Beneath the facility's chaotic energy lies a sense of meticulous order and purpose. Marcus continues, leading Dwayne deeper into the complex. Most of the surface workers are agents in disguise. The farm is a front to keep eyes away. Underground, we've got strategists, engineers, analysts, and medical staff, all trained for whatever comes our way. As they walk, Dwayne observes smaller rooms branching off the corridors. Inside, analysts sift through stacks of redacted files, while others maintain weapons and equipment with care. Bright LED lights cast sterile beams across steel-gray walls, the hum of electricity ever present beneath their feet. It's impressive, Dwayne admits, his voice measured, yet his mind churns with calculations, weighing risks and the fine line he now walks between ally and captive. In the heart of the command center, Dwayne's jaw tightens as he addresses Marcus. I need a meeting with everyone calling the shots here, now. Marcus studies him, a flicker of respect in his expression. Understood, but Celeste runs these briefings, and with Jesse and Aaron out, it might be best to wait. No, Dwayne counters, his tone firm. This can't wait. If Celeste and her brothers are running this, I need to know who's in charge while they're out. This operation's bigger than any one person. Marcus nods, recognizing the urgency. Tapping his earpiece, he arranges the meeting, Conference Room C, but be ready to explain why this can't wait. Celeste doesn't like surprises. As Dwayne moves toward the room, his mind races. This is a battle of influence as much as strategy, and he must tread carefully. Entering the room, he steels himself for the decision-makers waiting on the other side. The room hums with tension. Operatives and strategists sit around a long table, their gazes sharp and expectant. Jesse enters first, his movements deliberate despite the bandages that mark him as both wounded and defiant. Aaron follows, his face hardened with determination. Dwayne studies them both, searching for cracks in their facade. Aaron catches his eye, offering a subtle nod, neither apologetic nor defiant, but steady and resolute. It eases some of Dwayne's tension, but he remains cautious. Jesse breaks the silence with a smirk. Looks like the place is still standing. Aaron steps forward, addressing the room with authority. Let's regroup. Dwayne, you called this meeting. What's on your mind? Dwayne stands tall, his voice firm. We need clarity. No more rogue decisions or half-truths. Everyone must be on the same page. Jesse and Aaron exchange a glance, and Aaron nods. Fair enough. What's the plan? Dwayne's gaze sweeps the room as he declares, no more killings. We focus on disruption, not destruction. Change won't come at the cost of more lives. The room falls silent. After a moment, heads nod in agreement, and the atmosphere shifts. Dwayne leans forward, his next question piercing the air. Now, about Pennyman. Where is he? Jesse clears his throat, his voice steady. He's secure. We've ensured he's treated fairly. He's quiet, for now. Dwayne nods, his mind already racing ahead. The game has changed, but the stakes remain higher than ever. For now, he has their attention and their agreement. It's enough to keep moving forward. Dwayne tightens his jaw, the moral weight of his position pressing heavily. Ensure his treatment remains humane, he says firmly. We're not descending into the same tactics we claim to stand against. Aaron stands to Jesse's right, nodding with a solemn expression. Understood. Dwayne exhales slowly, then continues. If we're going to make this work, we need to go public. Control the narrative. Ensure people know the truth and understand what we're doing. Aaron's eyes flicker with intrigue. About that, DALON is here, ready to be activated, he says, pride evident in his voice. Dwayne's brow furrows, a mix of curiosity and concern crossing his face. Was it difficult? How did you manage it? Aaron's mouth curls into a small, humorless smile. Not without complications. I suggested everyone take a copy, making it look like a collaborative decision. Dwayne's mind races as he processes the implications. Celeste's intel had warned him of the risks. DALON's possession is like holding a loaded gun in a room full of people with twitchy fingers. His shoulders square as urgency sharpens his tone. We need to move fast. Anyone with a copy is now a target, whether they know it or not. Their agencies will want to neutralize them to keep control of DALON or eliminate the risk. Either way, we need to retrieve those copies. A tense silence fills the room, broken only by the faint hum of machinery. Jesse's eyes narrow thoughtfully, while Aaron folds his arms, nodding in agreement. Our first priority isn't chasing killers or staying in the shadows, Dwayne declares, his voice commanding. We need to track everyone with a copy. Bring them in or eliminate the data. As for the master copy in Anniston, he pauses, letting the weight of his words settle. It needs to be destroyed. Jesse's gaze sharpens, a flicker of agreement in his expression. If we don't act now, every agency will scramble to contain the threat. It'll be a bloodbath. Aaron adds, I can assemble a team. We know their movements, but going after them means declaring war on anyone in our way. Dwayne nods. Then let's get started. They'll be traveling back to their bases soon. This has to be simultaneous. No errors. The room springs into action, charged with renewed purpose. Dwayne senses the enormity of what lies ahead. The stakes have never been higher. And the clock is ticking. He steps to the center of the room, outlining the plan with precision. DALON's isolated network gives us an advantage, he explains. A controlled EMP pulse can wipe the master copy in Anniston without collateral damage. Jesse and Aaron exchange glances. Aaron steps forward. It'll be quick and targeted. We'll ensure the pulse hits only what we need. Dwayne continues, his tone unyielding. The other copies are the real challenge. Each one must be tracked and neutralized. If any operatives with the data could become allies, we'll assess later. Right now, containment is our priority. Marcus, quiet until now, steps forward. I can pinpoint their locations, but we have to move covertly. If they catch on, we'll have another crisis on our hands. Aaron's jaw tightens, his voice determined. We need teams ready to act immediately. Some of these people might resist. We need to prepare for anything. Dwayne's nod is firm. Agreed. We act fast, no hesitation. Marcus's phone buzzes, and he glances at the screen, then looks up. We should turn on the television. The room shifts focus as the TV screen lights up. A reporter's voice fills the air. We're live at the First United Methodist Church in Freeport, Texas, where Barry Bo Fimms's gravesite has been set ablaze. Similar reports have come in from Birmingham. This marks the first incident in Texas. Fimms, connected to the Birmingham church bombings, was a known segregationist who received probation for the murder of 13-year-old Victor Mayer. The sign on the grave reads, "You are not allowed to rest in peace." The reporter hesitates, the absurdity of the details hanging in the air. Based on what I've just said, I can see why someone might still harbor anger over these events. Dwayne's gaze hardens as he processes the report. He turns to Jesse. Any idea where Michael Pete Harvey is? Jesse responds with mock confusion. Who dat, boss? Dwayne's eyes narrow, his voice laced with disbelief. You know exactly who he is, the other assailant in the case. This has your fingerprints all over it. Jesse sighs, his smirk fading. Michael's in a nursing home, in hospice care. I thought about handling him myself, but you've kept me occupied, so I sent someone else. Frustration flashes across Dwayne's face. We just agreed. No more killing. Call off your operative before it's too late. Jesse raises his hands defensively. I know. No more killing. But this was already in motion. It might be too late to stop. Dwayne exhales sharply, his resolve hardening. The battle to control the narrative and prevent further bloodshed has just intensified, and time is running out. Meanwhile, a reckoning has come to a small town in the Mid-South. Allen, Texas wears a crisp, quiet charm on most February days. The city hums with suburban life, a blend of sprawling shopping centers, well-kept parks, and neighborhoods lined with identical two-story homes. The weather mirrors the city's temperament, mild with a faint chill in the air that prompts most residents to don light jackets. Families gather in local diners for breakfast, while commuters pack the highways heading toward Dallas or Plano. The routine feels as steady as the sun creeping over the horizon. But beneath the surface, Allen carries a weight, a dark cloud that has lingered since the incident involving Darwin Potts III. The tragedy occurred nearly 2 years ago in a county jail, shaking the community to its core. Darwin, a young black man, had been arrested for possession of less than 2 ounces of marijuana. While detained, officers claimed he had a psychotic episode, restraining him in a padded cell and deploying pepper spray to calm him down. He died hours later, his face stained with tears, mucus, and the remnants of chemical irritants. The autopsy cited excited delirium exacerbated by physical restraint, but his family and supporters called it what it was: murder. Protests swelled in Allen and neighboring towns, filling the streets with cries for justice. A year later, the officers involved were quietly reinstated, sparking outrage once more. And now, on the eve of the tragedy's anniversary, Darwin's name is back in the spotlight, along with the 7 officers whose decisions led to his death. They thought the past had been buried. Tonight, they will learn that ghosts don't rest easily. Officer Barry Gates is the first to fall. His day begins like any other. He wakes early, downs a black coffee, and checks his social media feed for updates on the upcoming news segment about the Darwin Potts III case. The tension is palpable, but he dismisses it with a grumble, muttering about media vultures. By evening, he's seated alone at a corner table in a local sports bar, nursing a beer. Unbeknownst to Gates, his pint is laced with a potent chemical cocktail. The toxin, synthesized to amplify paranoia and aggression, is undetectable to the taste and odorless. Within 30 minutes, it begins to take effect. Gates clutches his head as whispers seem to slither into his ears. Shadows stretch unnaturally in his periphery and his pulse quickens. His breathing grows shallow, his eyes darting toward every patron in the bar. To him, they are no longer people, they're threats, plotting his demise. In a sudden burst of paranoia, Gates upends his chair and bolts for the door. His erratic movements draw the attention of the bartender, who calls 911. The police arrive at the suburban duplex, sirens wailing and lights painting the neighborhood in flashes of red and blue. Officer Gates, shirtless and drenched in sweat, stands in the middle of the room, his chest heaving like a cornered animal. His torso is a canvas of self-inflicted claw marks, red and raw, some deep enough to draw rivulets of blood. He's been trying to scrape away what he insists are eyes, thousands of them, invisible but unrelenting, crawling all over him. His voice is hoarse from screaming, each word jagged with desperation. "They're watching me," he bellows, spinning in frantic circles, his gaze darting between corners of the room that to him are teeming with unseen horrors. "I can feel them on me." The officers exchange uneasy glances. Gates was one of their own, a colleague, a friend, but now he's a stranger, consumed by some unseen terror. They approach cautiously, speaking in calm, measured tones, though their hands hover near their belts. "Barry," one officer says, his voice steady but laced with tension. "We're here to help. You need to calm down." "Help?" Gates roars, his laugh a ragged bark. "You're with them, aren't you? You're one of them." Before they can respond, he lunges at the nearest officer, his nails raking the air in front of him. It takes 3 of them to wrestle him to the ground, their bodies pressing against his flailing limbs. He thrashes with the strength of someone driven beyond reason, his screams a cacophony of rage and terror. "Get them off me!" he shrieks, his voice cracking. "They're on me! They're in me!" Finally, they manage to cuff him, though his spasms don't cease. Gates bucks and writhes against the restraints, his bare chest heaving as he glares at the officers with unbridled hatred. One of them, panting and visibly shaken, pulls out a canister of pepper spray. "This is for your own good, Barry," the officer mutters, before unleashing a stream of chemical mist directly into Gates's face. The reaction is immediate and primal. Gates lets out a blood-curdling scream, his body jerking violently as if struck by lightning. His eyes snap open, bloodshot and bulging, tears streaming down his cheeks as the pepper spray sears his skin. He blinks rapidly, his pupils dilating and contracting as though he's seeing something beyond the room. Then his gaze locks onto the open window on the second floor. A sudden calm washes over him, eerie and unsettling, his lips curling into a manic grin. "I can fly," he whispers at first, almost to himself. Then louder, with a triumphant roar, "I can fly!" Before anyone can react, he bolts toward the staircase, his bare feet slapping against the hardwood floor. The officers shout after him, fumbling to regain control, but he's too fast, too determined. He reaches the second-floor landing in seconds, his movements erratic yet unyielding. "Barry, stop!" one officer yells, chasing after him. But Gates is already at the window, his cuffed hands raised triumphantly above his head. "I'm free now!" he cries, his voice breaking with what sounds like joy. Without hesitation, he leaps. Gravity, indifferent to his madness, seizes him. His body plummets, the wind howling past his ears, and the brief illusion of flight shatters. Below, the metal roof of an SUV waits like an unyielding predator, its polished surface reflecting the faint glow of nearby porch lights. Gates leaps from the window with a deranged confidence, his body arching through the cold night air like a grotesque imitation of flight. For a fleeting moment, he appears weightless, suspended against the backdrop of the starless February sky. The streetlights cast long shadows of his twisted form, his arms outstretched in a mockery of wings. His lips are curled in a manic grin, his eyes wide and brimming with a delusion so deep it seems almost euphoric. The impact is violent, a deafening crack echoing through the neighborhood as his body collides with the car. The force crumples the roof inward, the metal folding like paper under his weight. His chest takes the brunt of the impact, the sound of ribs snapping like brittle branches underfoot. His spine contorts unnaturally, the vertebrae splintering with a sickening pop. Blood bursts from his mouth in a gruesome spray, splattering across the shattered windshield in a crimson arc. His legs twist grotesquely upon landing, one snapping at the thigh, the jagged edge of the femur piercing through his flesh. His head slams into the hood, leaving a deep dent and a splatter of blood and hair. His arms, still bound by the cuffs, lie twisted beneath him at unnatural angles, the shoulders dislocated from the force. The SUV's alarm blares, a discordant wail that punctuates the horrific stillness that follows. Gates's body lies crumpled and broken, a grotesque tableau of his final delusion. His chest no longer rises or falls, and his wild, bloodshot eyes stare blankly into the void. The officers, frozen on the second-floor landing, watch in stunned silence, their faces pale under the flickering light. One retches into the bushes below, unable to process the sheer brutality of what they've witnessed. Gates's lifeless form, mangled and smeared with blood, is a chilling monument to the madness that consumed him in his final moments. The neighborhood falls into silence, broken only by the car alarm triggered by the impact. Blood trickles from Gates's mouth, his eyes staring unseeing at the night sky. The officers stand frozen, their faces pale and stricken, the scene before them etched into their memories forever. Gates thought he could escape, but his flight was only a descent into the abyss.